Hello everyone, it's Liza from Liza's Painting Parties, and I'm coming to you from outside, which is a beautiful day. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Saturday and a great long weekend. We are going to be starting a little bit after 2. I just wanted to make sure that you guys could all jump on in and get ready with your supplies and everything that you need for our party for today. So, hello everyone that's joining. I'm going to be waiting a little bit before we get started to ensure that anyone who wants to join live will be able to do so before we start. So yeah, so I'm going to set up the camera just down and get it plugged in a bit to make sure I have juice for today. There we go. Awesome. So I'm outside today. It's a little warm, but I'm in the shade, so it should be a nice paint party. I'm actually visiting the in-laws today. We're doing a nice visit for this weekend. We're in Parry Sound. If anyone's around the area, say hi. Let me know where you guys are at, and we're going to get started shortly. Today we're going to be painting this one, Majestic Mountains. So I have it. I would suggest if you are joining us to paint this painting, grab a screenshot of it. I can put it up again if you want to grab it from here, or you can go to our post from yesterday and just download the picture from there, and then just have it available to you so you have it as a reference while we go through the steps today. So as we do every week, this will be an inspiration painting from this painting. So I'm going to be as close as possible to it, but I might be changing it up a little bit, and I encourage you guys to do the same. So whatever you want to do to make it your own, do it. That's what this is for. There's no wrong way. So what I have set up, so I have my canvas. I am using a 11 by 14 canvas board. So that's what I'm going to be using. It's quite thin. I usually use the canvas board for just safety's sake. I have a couple of brushes. So I have a thicker one, a medium size, and a thinner brush. And when I say these terms, I'm referring kind of in relation to my canvas size. So if you have a much larger canvas, this is no longer a large brush. It may be your medium brush. Just keep that in mind. So just use your brushes in relation to whatever size canvas you're using, so we have proper coverage, and also what you're comfortable with using. I picked up these fine point brushes from Amazon, and I love them. They have like a grip kind of on them, so as you can see, so you can actually like be very precise when you're holding and getting some more details. So I love it. I would strongly suggest something like that for fine point ones. I have a few other backup brushes just in case. I also have my water container, paper towel, and our paints are ready to go too. So the paints that you'll need, if you have red, blue, yellow, white, and black, as per usual, that's all you really need, and we can make any color out of that. I also have an orange and a green kind of pre-mix and a brown as backup. I don't think I'm going to use too much brown anyways. It's very like gray, so I'm not going to go that route. But sometimes I like to use that just to save me some time instead of mixing the colors. And then I have my palette, which I do share with you how I paint and do my colors, but my palette is always very, very dirty. So I will still share with you when I'm mixing colors, but I apologize, as that is not the best thing for you to see on a regular basis. All right. So let's get this going. Okay, so feel free to let me know if you guys are joining, say hi, and where you guys are painting from. I love to see that. And if you have any questions while we're going through the process, just pop them on, and I will do my best to keep an eye on the chat and answer back as we go through. I know some of you guys are really great in answering too when I can't, so please feel free to do it. It's community, so if you have any best practices, things are working well, things aren't working well, share, and that will be fantastic. Hey Kathy, you're in Sudbury. I'm actually closer to you today. I'm in Parry Sounds, so still not that close, but that's awesome. Thanks for sharing and joining. Awesome. Okay, cool. So what time is it now? Let's see. It's just a little bit after 2. We're going to give it a little bit more time just to make sure anyone else who wants to join can jump on and get their paint ready and whatnot. Hey, Terry. Terry, I'm glad you're joining us again. Oh, my iPad thought I said Siri when I said Terry. Was getting ready to listen to a command for me. I'm not talking to you, iPad. All right. Cool, I'm gonna get some of my paint going on my canvas so we can get started momentarily. Since I'm outside, I'm gonna keep in mind that my acrylic paint loves to dry very quickly outside. So if you are in a room where there is a fan, or if you are also outside, keep that in mind as you're going through this process, because your paint's gonna dry really quickly. Acrylic paint does that regardless, so don't put like a heck of a lot in your palette right off the bat. We are gonna start with like a white canvas, and then we're gonna add the black to it later, so I'm not gonna do a pre-thing of black. We're gonna do it a little bit differently. So just to keep that in mind. Awesome. Oh, hi everyone. Yay. Hi, Julie. Hi, Julie and Julia. Hello, guys. Hi, Tanya. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Linda. Awesome. I'm excited to this one too, Linda. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's so beautiful, and I love just the putting like the negative on top of it and just the play with the composition. I really enjoy it, so I'm really excited about that. Oh, Terry, does it happen more often? Yeah, right. That's so funny. Terry was saying that happens more than you think with the Siri thing, because I said her name and then my iPad was like, what do you need? So funny. Hi, Priya. Fantastic. Awesome, guys. Okay, so what am I going to start with? So with this painting, when we get started, what we're going to do very first is we are going to paint this sunset. I guess it's a sunset. I'm going to call it a sunset. You can interpret it how you so desire. Maybe it's a sunrise, maybe sunset. So we're going to do that first, and we're also going to paint this water as well. So those are the first things we're going to paint. So let's get the colors out for those components. Okay. Again, depending on the size of your canvas, might be how much paint you put on your palette, so we get started. So I'm going to get some blue out and some yellow. I am going to use some of my pre-mixed orange just to get that bottom part. I'm going to put a little bit of my pre-mixed green as well, although I might just blend my blue and yellow. We'll see how it goes in this process. I'm also going to get some white on my palette, just so in case I want to start mixing it. So that's kind of where I'm at with how much of each color I've put on there. Ooh, gotta be careful about that. So it's dripping. All right, let's get started. I'm just gonna move my phone, set that up so you can see it. Okay, so if you're having any issues, so right now with my phone, you should be able to see my canvas pretty bang on. If you cannot, it might be the orientation. Sometimes it happens where you might have to log out and then come back in. So if you're having any of those types of technical issues right now, those might be some of the solutions. That sometimes happens in previous sessions. All right, let me get this set up how I want this to be. Scared to put my water so close to my iPad, but I'm gonna take the risk. We'll see what happens. Okay, awesome. So what I like to do to get started is I'm gonna use my big old brush. I'm gonna get some water, and I'm just gonna put water directly onto the canvas where I want to start, where I'm gonna start to want to paint. So for this one, we're gonna kind of think about how big we want that circle to be. You can also, at this point, before you want to start, if you have a stencil, if you have a shape like a circle that you want to use, like a lid of a Tupperware or something, you can feel free to grab that, because we can use that for later. I tend to like to freehand things and then regret it when I mess up. So if you want to be like me, you can do that too. We'll see. If I have something within reach, I might use it, but I probably won't. Okay, so right now we've wet the canvas. Wetting the canvas with acrylic will just help you blend everything really nicely and get nice coverage on the canvas right off the bat. So I'm not going to stress too much about getting the paint and the colors going around the side, because I want it primarily to be in this one area where we're going to have the sunset going. So let's start with the blue. So I'm getting the bright blue, and I'm gonna just start by popping it on. I think with this painting, I might want more than one layer. So the more layers you put of acrylic, and the great thing is it dries pretty quickly, the more impactful and more vibrant it comes out. I am outdoors and people are mowing their lawns, so I will continue to talk to you guys as best as I can. If you can't hear me, just let me know. So I'm gonna get some of my pre-mixed green and start pushing that in. When I blend in, I start on the area that there's nothing, and then I go into the blue. Okay? So start and then go into the blue, like that. Okay? With this, I'm gonna just now, so I have a bit of blue, I have a bit of green. With my brush, I'm just going to wipe it on my paper towel. I'm not like cleaning it off with water just yet. I still want it to keep going. I'm gonna get my yellow. Again, I'm gonna start below and I'm gonna bring it into the green. Let's get some more yellow. Start below and bring it up into the green. Okay, it might still have some yellow, like some of the color that comes in, and that's fine. Okay, so now we already have this kind of gradient starting. Okay. I'm gonna do the same thing. This time I'm gonna wet my brush a bit and clean it off a little bit more before I get my orange in there. When you're using water on the canvas, it allows you to blend really quickly. Holy shoot, a giant bug just flew in my neck and it was really gonna creep me out. All right, outside, I don't know about outside. Okay, let's get some orange. So I'm gonna get this orange in here. I honestly thought my husband had thrown something at me. I was like ready to like get upset at him. I just saw him a second ago and then this thing like hit my neck. Not exciting. Okay. Maybe a little bit more exciting than my normal paintings in my spare room in my house. More things going on today, tell you that much. Wow, this is really like super vibrant. I love the colors. This is so fun. This is gonna look so nice. Once we put the black on there too, guys, it's gonna pop so nice. Oh my gosh. Okay, I do think I want to still put another layer right on top of this, but I want it to dry down a little bit more, I think. Although my blue looks pretty dry. So yeah, I'm gonna go back. So I cleaned off my brush with water. I then use paper towel to get some of the excess paint off, and I put some blue back on there, and I'm just going to put some more of this blue into the sky. It's still pretty wet though. It's still pulling off my canvas quite a bit. So I don't know if I might have to wait a little bit. Yeah, I think I'm gonna wait a little bit. So I do want the color to kind of pop. I don't think it's gonna work too well if I put the green on. All right, you know what we'll do? We will continue on down and get that river color going while this dries off a bit. And then we'll jump back to that after and make it a little bit more vibrant with another layer of acrylic on that. All right, so now let's start with the river. So the river, or the little stream, I'm gonna call it a river. The river is gonna kind of crisscross. So I'm gonna kind of just continue with the streakiness, and then when I put in the black, that will define like exactly how I want the river to be. So I'm gonna make the river go pretty blocky down, like kind of a straight blocky down, just to blend the colors, and then I'll pull in other colors I want to use afterwards. Now with the river, my canvas is already dry, so the first thing, I'm just gonna wet the canvas again. Oh, nice. It's okay if there's already some color actually, because we're gonna be able to mix it all so it all works out. So you'll see that it's pulled some of the paint that was still on my paintbrush, and that's okay. So if that happens to you, don't stress out about it. I'm just gonna dab it because I did wet it, but then it's a little bit like too much water. There we go. Okay. I don't want it to be like soaking or else it starts like dripping, and that's not what I want happen. Okay, so let's do the opposite. So in the painting, it's kind of green to start, but I'm gonna start off with a little bit of yellow here. Already changed from calling it a river to a stream. It changes quickly in my world. Okay, then we're gonna go to green. So again, I'm gonna have the green and then just like pull it into the yellow a little bit. And then we're gonna continue off with blue. And again, this is, you don't make it exactly like it is. You're gonna put the black on top, and that will define the route of how this river is gonna be, and the rocks in the river and all of that. That's gonna give it life. It's just color, put color. Hi, Asif. All right, so we want it, so yeah, so now a lot of this is just blending, so we want to make sure we just get that first coat on while the canvas is still a little bit wet. So I know I'm going quickly through that, but also I don't want it to dry. If I go too slow, it's going to dry, and then it's not going to give me the kind of blended effect that I want it to give me. That is the love-hate relationship we have with acrylics. It's awesome. It can blend. If you make a mistake, you can paint over it. It's fantastic, but you still need to kind of work within its parameters. It can be a little tricky sometimes. Okay, so right now we have the colors down of how we want it to look. But to me, and likely to you too, it's still gonna be a bit streaky, and you're gonna be able to see, one second, there's an ATV going by. We're gonna be able to see a little bit of the canvas coming through. So I want to just make that a little bit more opaque. Hey Mary, oh, don't worry, you didn't miss it. So if you missed the start of it, you can either jump in if you want to, or you can wait until the end, and when at the end I'm gonna upload the video and it'll be available, so you can do it at another time. It's totally up to you. Okay, so don't stress if anyone who jumps in, or if you're not painting right now, the video will be available after, so you can follow along whenever it's convenient for you. Okay, no stress, just fun. All right, yeah, it's drier now. Beautiful. Okay, cool. All right, so I want to kind of redo this idea again, just to make it a little bit darker. My orange paint's really nice and dark, actually. It gave really good coverage. I like that a lot. But I want it to be the same way all the way up to the top. So let's see. I'm gonna actually start back with my second coat with my yellow. So I'm going to put some yellow in here. So I want that yellow to stand out a little bit more. Okay. From there, I'm gonna get green on my brush and then just start blending that upwards. Now that we have that base of color on the canvas, this next coat is going to come out a lot more vibrant. And then I'm gonna start bringing in my blue. Once I get into that blue area, mix it into my green. Or you can bring in more yellow all the way up too. That's another option. If you're just using blue and yellow, and you'll be able to have a midsection of green as you go. So see how it's already popping? It's more vibrant now. And I don't know if I am gonna go over my orange, because I'm pretty happy with the coverage of it. So I might just leave that as is and just do that. We'll see how that dries, and then I might wanna then do even another layer on top. I'm not exactly sure yet. We'll see. I'm gonna continue this off a little bit, even though I'm pretty sure my black circle is gonna be covering the sides, but just in case. Okay. And now that this is dry at the bottom, I'm gonna redo the same thing at the bottom there. So let me just clean off my brush so I can start with my yellow first. And I'm gonna redo this gradient from the yellow to the green to the blue at the bottom. When I clean off, yeah, so I'm kind of trying to make sure there's no, I don't want any like of that blue on here. Because that's gonna ruin my yellow, and I want the yellow to pop. So I'm just going right over the yellow I painted into that mix where I have my yellow and my green. And now I'm going to grab my green onto my brush, not clean it or anything, and just blend it right into that yellow. And then same thing here. Now we're going to get blue. I just want this to be a bit more impactful. I want still a little bit of remnants, and I'm throwing yellow back in here because I want it to have a little bit of murkiness in it. I don't know, we'll see. You can play with it, like you can bring in some more colors. At the same time, it's kind of nice to have it fully blue. Yeah, maybe that was a mistake. Again, it's okay with acrylic because you can always change it up again. Yay! Okay. All right. So right now it just looks like if someone walked by, they're gonna be like, wow, what are you doing? You really like to put random colors on your canvas. Doesn't look like much going on, but it's going to. It's gonna be so fun. Once you have your second paint coat on, let it dry and just check to see if you like the coverage. If you're happy with the way the coverage is, cool. If you want to, if you're still not happy with it, you may want to put a third coating on. You want to let it dry fully. I know I've already said that, but if you end up putting, like if you put the second coat on, for example, and it wasn't fully dry at the bottom, and even if it started to, like maybe the top part was a bit dry, but then underneath it wasn't, when you put that second coat on, it might have pulled some of the paint off. If that happens, just stop touching that part. Don't touch that part. Stop it. And like leave it for until it's fully dry. And once that's fully dry, then you can fix it. If you still try to go over that part that you've already lifted off with the acrylic with your brush, you're just gonna keep making a big hole in it, essentially. So don't do that, okay? Hopefully none of you guys have that issue, but if you do, just be cautious with any time you use acrylic. Yeah, that's happened to me more times than I would like. All right, so I'm pretty happy with the gradient kind of going on here. So I think I'm gonna leave mine as is. The sky in the picture is a little bit lighter, so if you decided that maybe that blue was a little bit too intense, you can always add a little bit of white to the blue, have a little bit of a lighter blue, and kind of have a bit more streaky going on. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to leave mine like this for now. Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. Give you guys some time to like paint or touch things up if you so desire. I might want to bring my green down a little bit now that I'm looking here. I don't know. Yeah, I kind of think I do want to do that. Still a little wet. Let me just get some yellow and bring some more yellow down this way. So just on top, so what I'm doing, just because I want it to be a little bit greener as it comes down, I feel like I kind of stopped with blue a bit too abruptly. Just getting my medium-sized brush and I'm just throwing in some yellow on top of this. It still was a little wet, so I'm kind of like dry brush blending it in, just to give it a bit more of the streaky look. If you like that, you can do that too. If not, you can leave it as is. The brushes I'm using are quite hard, like the bristles. Someone had mentioned when I had mentioned that in another paint party that they think I might be using oil, like oil paint brushes, which is entirely possible. I have absolutely no idea. I've had these brushes since I was in high school, so they might not be the best ones for acrylic, but I really enjoy them. I like the control, and I'm very used to painting with them, so I'm sticking with it. Yeah, I kind of like that a little more. It's going to give it a bit more texture as it comes down, so I'm happy with that more. I felt like it was too striking blue, the bottom here. Awesome. So if you are using some kind of stencil or shape or something, I guess stencil is the best way to say it, for this circle part, I suggest you have it handy now because we're going to start doing that. A sieve is a what? Yeah, so I've left this part. I didn't connect it. If you connect it, it's fine. In the image, if you see here, it's actually, there's actually black there, like in the middle, like it doesn't actually connect this lake to the sky. So there's like land there instead. So I'm going to try to stay true to the way that looks. But very good, good eye. Fantastic. Okay, cool. So I'm going to look around and see if I want to use a stencil. I don't think I'm going to. I definitely did not plan to use one. But I bet I'm going to be annoyed that I didn't. Yeah, no. We're going to use my hand. We're going to just do it as we always do. Winging it. Alright, let's get some black out. So I'm going to get my black paint. I'm going to put a good amount right now. Right now, it's a matter of me thinking about, so if you have your stencil, pop it on and you'll be able to outline it. If you're going to be a renegade like me and try to like eyeball it, let's do it together. Let's see what happens. I'm going to use one of my thinner brushes, I think, to kind of have that happen. What I want to do is I put some water on my paintbrush. And I'm going to wet the black paint down a little bit so it will be almost like I'm using ink. And with this fine, well, that's smart, I just dipped it in my whole pen. With this very fine brush, I'll be able to have more control of it too. That's why I like the grips on it. Alternately too, someone had mentioned in a previous party as well that if you are, ooh, that is not centered. There we go. Sorry about that. I just noticed my thing had moved. I think my knee hit it. If you're not so sure and you don't want to just jump right in with like trying to figure it out like what I'm doing, what you can do is you can get white chalk or any color chalk, really. Chalk. And then you can use the chalk as your outline because then whatever you put on chalk, you can always just like remove it if you need to. So that's always an option too. But I'm going to wing it because that's what I do. All right, I'm gonna go bigger than I want. So just in case I want to make it smaller, or if I don't like my arc, then I will then smallen it up, shorten it up. So I'm gonna go bigger. Like that. Okay. And once I have it, then I will decide how I want to adjust it. And I already see that there's more space on that side than that side, so I definitely want to fix that. Not bad though. I'm happy with the arc overall. I think it just needs to be a little bit, has to come in a little bit on the side. Yeah. Okay. I have like the outline of where I have an idea of where I want that arc to be, I'm going to go ahead and paint around it all in black. Not with my thin brush because, you know, I'm not going to spend all day doing that, so I'm going to switch over to my bigger brush and paint that in. How much from left to right? So in terms of the side, so for here, again, you can eyeball it. Again, clearly I eyeballed it. I would say about like an inch and a half, but it depends on the size of canvas that you're using. So I would say if I take my canvas and I split it in half, maybe like 1/6 of your canvas in. So leave about 1/6 of your canvas on either side is what I would say as an estimate, not knowing what size canvas you're using. I think that would be a fairly conservative? Confident estimate is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so I'm gonna get this black going. And when I put the black paint on my canvas, I'm gonna remember to paint the sides of my canvas. Okay, and I'm not gonna water it down. I want it to be, there is a little bit of water in it, unfortunately, because I did pick it up from where I put some water in it when I just did that other part. But ideally you want just the straight up black paint to give really nice coverage. You might need to do more than one coat. So if, depending on the consistency of your black paint, if you're getting good coverage with one coat, awesome. If you're not, make sure you're applying a thin coat so then you can, so then it will quickly dry, so then you can put another coat on top. There's a lot of work going on here. Neighbors hammering away. Not as relaxing as listening to the birds chirp. You would think being out further from the city it'd be more peaceful sounds, but people are out working today, I guess. Now, we're going to continue. I'm probably going to touch it up a little bit. I can see a couple little weird lines and stuff, but for now, I'm going to continue painting the rest of my canvas also with black. Okay? So let's just continue that down. Okay. I need to get more black paint. I kind of want to get most of the black done right now. Now, we can start also putting in, I am going to put in the line here, and I'm going to start kind of blocking in where I want that river to go. I think at this point I'm going to switch back, no, hold on, sorry. I'm just going to use up the paint that's on this big old fat brush first for a second. This canvas is kind of annoying, or this easel is kind of annoying. Yeah, sorry, I'm just going to use up whatever paint is left on this. Okay, and then I'm going to end up having to switch up my water container because black will overpower that container entirely. I'm just going to clean off that brush fully. I like to keep my brushes out of the water, so once I take the, wash them off, I dry them off and let them sit. I don't like to keep them in water. Okay, so that big brush can just chill for a little bit there. I'm going to go back, I think, to my thin brush to decide where I want this winding river to go. I did use all of my black, so I'm gonna reapply it to my palette. Okay, so I'm using my thin brush again, and I'm just gonna plot in how I want the river to go. So it's really up to you. You can change the path entirely. You can make it a pond. You can do whatever you want to do with it. I'm gonna try and stick similar to the picture. And I'm gonna, again, just kind of keep to the flowing of the river. I'm not gonna worry so much about the rocks that are in the way yet, or the little like bushiness that's happening. We're just gonna get the flow of how that river's gonna flow. So it's gonna start about here, and it's gonna come pretty straight like that, and then it's gonna come out, and there's no wrong way. This is your own world, so it doesn't really matter how it looks. Okay, I'm going to try to stay similar to the shapes in the inspiration image. It looks really weird right now. I'm just going to bring it down that way. Okay, let's do the other side too. So it's gonna start about here. It's kind of like a zigzaggy pattern. As it gets closer, it's gonna get a little bigger. I'm going to have it kind of follow the same flow on either side. So if it goes in on one side, it's going in on the other side. Okay, and then this is going to just come around this way, I think, and then I'm going to throw in those rocks later. Okay, so now that I have, that's where I want the river, so there's not going to be any black paint that's going to come up there. Replenish. Thank you, Terry. You're almost like Suri there. Helping me out when I needed the word. Thank you. Alright. I said Suri. I meant... Wait. Siri. That's what I meant. I couldn't think of any words today. Sorry, guys. Alright, I'm gonna fill in the rest of this now up into that line with black is what that's what I'm saying now. I'm using my big brush. I'm gonna go up to where that line is essentially. And with this big old brush, I'm not going to go all the way to where my thin line is because I don't trust this brush. I don't trust me with it to make sure I'm not going to go over. So I'm going to switch to my medium brush once I do the majority of the coverage with this big old brush. Absolutely got like a dot of black in the water. No! Maybe it'll just be like a rock or something. We'll see. I'm not going to worry about that right yet. Okay, let me just hold this in my hand. I'm gonna paint the bottom of it, even though it's gonna go right back on my, sorry, I moved the painting for a second. I'm just gonna get the other side of my canvas and then I'm going to put it back. There we go, just painting the sides of the canvas. Okay, and before I just switch my brush to like a medium-sized one so I can get closer to where my river is, I'm just noticing the outside here, and I'm noticing that I can see a lot of the paint brush strokes canvas through it. So I know for me, I'm gonna put another coat of black right on here, just to make it a little bit more opaque. So take a look at your canvas too. That part's already pretty dry, so I'm gonna do that now before I continue on. We can paint along to the hammering. No, I missed it. Yeah, and when this dries too, I'm definitely going to want another coat on top of that too. I'm going to replenish some more black. What is the black shape going to be? So this black shape here, this is going to be where your water is. So this is the water that's coming down the middle there. So I'm going to bring the black all the way to this line. But I'm not using this brush with it because this brush is not going to be my friend for detail. When I want to get that close, it's not going to cooperate with me. So as the bottom's starting to dry up, I'm just going to put in a second coat where I can with my big old brush before I switch over to my medium-sized brush to get closer to the water source. And honestly, like when this dries again, like you might see more spots. You might have to do this later as well. I just want to try to get this done now because as we get into it and we want to start building like our mountains and our trees, and especially when we put our stars in our sky, we want to make sure that we have this as a nice solid background, at least to your liking. Because once you start putting all that stuff in, if you look at it after and you're like, ugh, the background, it's not going to be as easy to address at that point. Okay, so I'm going to move to my medium brush. So we will get closer to our winding river and fill it in so it doesn't look super strange. Paint water is black now. I'm gonna have to take a moment and switch it once I stop using black. We're using a lot of black paint today. Okay. Oh yeah, I remember how I told you how being outside your paint dries really fast. So my white paint has like a really thick layer on it right now. Like that's already, I didn't even touch it, so I shouldn't even have paint put that on there to be honest. I was being optimistic, but no. Okay, so I'm just gonna get closer. I like coloring, and I'm just gonna try and stay within the line I have created. I'm just thinking too, this is gonna need probably a second coat too, because if I needed it for my other space, very likely I'll need it for this too. Okay. It looks super weird. But once we get some more rocks in there and put some other things, it should be fine. I'm gonna make this a little bit bumpy, just to start giving it a little bit of a rock. It has a bit more shape to it here. I don't like this medium brush. I'm going to switch to one of my other brushes that are a little bit softer, so I can have a little bit more control over it. Ooh, someone's singing out there. Maybe the people who are hammering away. Maybe they're done. They're happy. Better. Okay, I'm just gonna start to play a little bit with some of the shapes of the rocks that are jutting into the water. So I just switched up my brush a bit, and I'm just going to do that a bit. I don't want it to be like I don't want the lines to be like really straight. I want there to be like I want there to be texture in here. Okay, let's see how I want to do on this side. It's actually okay, I like that. I'm going to just make this one come out. And I'm just going to do this while that coat dries, so I can put in a second coat of it. Okay, so I'm going to add a rock about here. It's going to come out. It's gonna there we go. There's a rock. I'm going to put another rock. I wasn't going to put one like right here, but I am, because I want to cover up that little black dot that I mistakenly created when I was painting. So I'm just going to put another rock right there. Cool. Okay. So just go over your black, make sure all the black on the canvas is the way you want it. Make sure there's no weird white spots showing through. Make sure it's working there. So I'm just dabbing wherever I can see some little white canvasy spots. Pretty good, I think. I have to wait till in here. I think there's going to be a bit there. Be a little patient. Cute. Cute, cute, cute. Okay. Awesome. All right, so now it's looking pretty good already, right? As soon as you put the black on and just like give that definition to like the sky and the water, like I love it. It looks so great. I'm actually pretty, I don't know, I was worried about like that line there, but I'm going to cover it with a mountain, so I'm going to stop. That's what happens. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about the mountains. Again, I'm just going to, I saw a little bit more, I dried a little bit, so I'm just going to make sure everything's nice and opaque with the black. Awesome. Okay, cool. Now let us block in our mountains. I might throw a lot of paper towel today too. It's one of those days. Okay. Just gonna switch back to my more fine point brush so I can decide where I want these mountains. I have more control over it this way. I'm gonna go in with black right off the bat with the mountains, but then I might, or maybe I want to do gray actually. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Let's see. Yeah, maybe we will. No, I'm gonna go with black, and then we'll color them up, make them lighter afterwards. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so black it is. Tin brush, black. Mounty, rocky mountains. So let's take a look. I'm going to just show you the picture first so you see what I'm talking about. So when you see the mountains are of nice bumps, they're jagged, it's not a smooth line. You can make it smooth if you want to, but if you want to make it look more similar to this, you need to kind of just have this jagged. Make sure they're not super uniform. So this is like a smaller little bump, that's a bit bigger, this is more jagged, that one's a little bit more round. So just like, let's think about how we want that to flow. And again, you can still change it up, make it your own, but the more kind of misshapen, I suppose it is, the more realistic it's gonna feel, and it's gonna feel like these rocky mountain pieces. So let's see how far we want to go. So I want to bring this one like here, I think. Now the mountains, oh I should say that too. I'm going to bring them up into like about my yellowish area. I don't want them to go much further because we're still going to put our trees in. So don't forget about our trees. The mountains are going to go a little bit into here, but they're going to come all the way down. Like they're going to be like, like if you break your canvas into 3, so 1/3, so like the middle third section is where your mountains are going to live. So think of it that way. So this is just the top parts. We're just going to put in this jaggedness here. Okay. Okay, so that's that one. It's gonna live like that. And this one, I think I am gonna make this one a slightly taller. It's gonna be in the front here, but then in here, okay. So it's probably it's in the black. I'm starting in the black, which is silly because you can't really see it, but it gives me my idea of how I want to do it. Okay, so that's where they're going to go into where the skyline is here. Okay. Oh, thanks, Jen. Yeah, whenever we have nice bright colors and black, it makes it stand out quite significantly. It's pretty awesome. Move right. I don't know what you mean exactly. I know I was in the way a little bit there. But right now the canvas is centered on the screen. So again, if you can't see it, Asif, then maybe it's the orientation or it's zoomed in on your side. But it is centered right now. So what I want to do is I want to start playing with these mountains. I think what I want to do is I do want to make it a base first. I want to get some black and just fill in this area up into the line I did with the black. Be loud noise very soon, very close. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Okay. Cool. All right. Now let's play with some rock colors. I'm gonna need some more white because my white is dry. And I think I'm okay with black right now. Okay. Let me just, let's play with how we want this to be. Okay. So I just put some, so I had black on my paintbrush. I added white to my palette, and I just put my paintbrush that still had black on it into some of the white paint, and I'm kind of just like pulling it, and now it's creating like a gray color. So that's just what I'm doing right now. So that's what I'm going to be playing with right now. Like texture happening here. Okay, so I think I'm going to start off in this here. So I want to get this gray in here, and I want to start bringing in some of this into the mountain. So great, there's gonna be a bug on my painting. Okay, every time I'm outside there's always little bugs hanging out, which makes sense, I mean, granted, obviously. Okay, so I'm just gonna start putting in some elements of this gray, and we're gonna blend it in afterwards. Okay. Thought they'd be done their grass by now. Okay. So I'm just gonna pull in some gray because that is the color that we're gonna be using primarily with these mountains. And I'm just gonna put in some like rocky kind of areas that I want to be a little bit lighter, and just try and keep in mind like the kind of jaggedness of it. And it's okay if it kind of like filters into nothing, that's fine, because we can use some black afterwards to like define the area a little bit more and layer it up, because again with acrylics layering is fantastic. Okay, right now it's just about getting some gray in color to decide where you want these mountains, some of the jaggedness and the ridges to live. Okay, it doesn't have to look perfect. Mine does not look perfect. It looks like a bunch of weird lines right now. That's fine. So if yours looks like that too, that is okay. That's that side, and I'm going to do a similar thing on the other side, I think. Or do I want to play with this side still more? Let me think. You know what? I might play with this side a little bit more. So I just added a little bit of black to that gray mix I made, and I'm just going to it's just slightly darker gray now. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of that, little patches to the mountain. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad I did that. I wanted to bring those colors there. I'm gonna move to my thinner. I am gonna work on these mountains first actually, and then I'll move over to the other side. I'm kind of enjoying this, and I want to keep the paints a little bit wet. It might work in our advantage till I play with it this way. Oh, thank you, Alex. Thanks so much. Oh, Megan, can we get a minute before rocks? Yeah, no problem. Sorry. I tend to go pretty quickly because time goes super fast on these paint parties. And it's already 3 o'clock now, so it's already been an hour. And I try to keep them like hopefully 2 hours or less. But they tend to run quite long. So I do try to go a little quick just so that we're not, you know, here for like 4 hours or something, you know? But I will give it just a moment just so you guys can take it. But I will have to start up very soon just to keep the time going. Be cognizant of that part of it. Okay, I'm gonna just play with this a little bit, and then I'm gonna talk you through what I'm doing. It's gonna take me some time to do this part, I think. And I'm not sure exactly how I want this to play out, so I don't know if this is the best technique right now, so I'm just gonna play with it a little bit. If you have like a palette knife, that's always a really good friend when you're doing knives. When you're doing knives. When you're painting rocks is what I am trying to say. I'm just winging it with like a paintbrush, so we'll see how it works. Tell yourself that, like, look at the colors of the painting and what you're trying to emulate more than being like, oh, I'm painting rocks. That helps. Look at the shapes, look at the colors, look at the jaggedness of things. I think I'm making mine a little bit too rounded as I'm going through. So I'm just gonna add in some more lighter, like white and light gray, just so I can create it a little bit more jaggedy. I definitely went a little soft, too rounded. So basically what I've done with the rocks is that I had a bit of, I'll just talk through it again and what I'm doing. And a lot of it is just going to be you playing with it and just seeing how the rocks in your world work out and what you like about them and how you want them to be. So what I've done is I've mixed gray out of my black and white, so I put a little bit of black paint into my white paint and I just pulled it and I made a light gray. And then what I've done from there is that I've then gone in and then put some like white as well, and then just either made it a bit lighter or darker to play with that. It's pretty tricky to do the rocks, to be honest, and I don't know how well this is going to fully turn out. We'll see. It's not gonna look exactly like the picture, and that is totally normal. The whole point when we paint together and why I like to paint and why I enjoy it is that it's for fun and to get better at what we're doing. So for me, And I'm just reading Tanya's comment there. So I'm hearing that your daughter is not very happy about her picture not being perfect. Let me tell you that I have had many times, including when I am painting live in front of, right now there's 31 people, where I think it looks pretty crappy and I get really nervous because people are looking to me for advice and for help. So it's very normal to feel that way. Honestly, don't stress. Acrylic, even right now, I'm kind of looking at my rocks and I'm like, it's not really turning out the best way I want it to turn out. But the great thing about acrylic is that it can dry fully and then you can try again and you can keep playing with it in that way. It's not something that's going to work and be your best friend the very first time you do it, or the second or the third time sometimes, but it is just to have fun with it. And honestly, there's no wrong way. So we're trying to make it look similar to this picture, right? But this is this person's image, right? So I got this picture online. This is our inspiration image. So my picture is not going to look exactly like this, and I don't want any of yours to look exactly like this. I want you to make it your own, and I want you to put your own style into it. And if your own style is that you can't do rocks very well or you can't blend the sky very well, that's okay. Go with it, and then we'll improve with time. So the more you paint, the more you pick up your brush, like the better you're going to get and the more technique you're going to have, you know? It's hard. I feel like melting down sometimes too. So I'm just going to keep playing with these rocks. They're not turning out exactly the way I want them, like I said, but I'm just going to keep adding some more colors, looking at the picture and trying to, again, I need more like edgy corners. I'm too like rounded on my strokes. So I'm putting some more black in. I'm just going to put in some more angular edges in here. And that's only because I'm trying to make these look more realistic, but honestly, you can get it at a more like cartoony vibe, and that would look really cool too. You can maybe make them, instead of it just being like multiple colors, we could do a little bit different too. I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna see what's going on here. I'm putting in some black in here and just putting some peaks into my mountain, and I'm already liking it more. With acrylic too, the more, like I said, when we did the sky and when we are doing the different colors, the more layers you put in on top of it, the more depth of color that it comes. So sometimes you might just need to add a little bit more on top, and then it already looks nicer. Acrylic is tricky. But it can also be very forgiving, which is nice. Okay. So as you can see with my rocks, they are not like the picture. They're a bit more abstract, I would say, a bit more blocky with color. I might still play with it a little bit more. So like, as you can see, can you see? Okay. Actually, kind of like from what when I look at the image that you guys can see, it looks very like Group of 7-ish. That's what I'm gonna go with. Yeah, that's my style. Like famous painters. But it definitely does not look like the picture. So see how mine has more of like, it's like gray line, and then I put in a darker line. I kind of blended it a little bit, and then I put in some black to just soften up those lines. Like, take a look at the way this looks. This looks very, very rocky, probably done with a palette knife and like scraped. So if you have a palette knife and you want to scrape some of the painting on, it will give more of a better effect. This might have also been, honestly, that might have been a digital print, to be honest. I just liked the vibe of it, and I know we can make our own this way. Oh, fantastic. Yes, absolutely, Julia. I love that. Yeah, it's a painting, not a photo, so it's your interpretation. That's really good advice. And that's why I really love seeing all of your guys' art and when you guys share it. And that's what I would suggest to Tanya. If you take a look at some of our previous paint parties and you look at the paintings that other people have made, you'll see so many different varieties. And I find that really inspirational. Like, you'll see that people have thrown in like different elements, you'll see different colors, you'll see just different techniques. Some people are using different mediums, so it's really cool. So maybe that would help too. Like, it shouldn't be perfect. I don't want it to look like it shouldn't look the same. Your painting should not look exactly like mine. You should have elements. You should get the vibe of it, get like some of the feeling of it, and then make it your own. I'm just going to add a little bit of white to some parts of the mountain just to add a little bit of highlight, because I think that's going to look cool. We'll see. Again, mine is a bit more abstract, I would say, than the original inspiration photo. Okay. As I was doing it, I was realizing a lot of my lines that I was putting in my highlights were very soft lines, and I was like, ugh, I gotta make them more jagged. So I'm just gonna try to give it a little bit more of an edge. My default is clearly curves and more circular type of vibes. All right, I think I'm gonna stick with that. Yeah, I think we're gonna stick with that on the side, and we're gonna try to see how I can emulate it on the other side. Let's see if I'm successful. Fingers crossed. All right, so let's go back to I'm going back to my medium brush. I'm using a bit of a softer brush because I have two medium brushes on hand that I'm using. This one's kind of like a harder brush, and this is like a softer brush. So I'm just using my softer bristle brush. I find with this, it works better. I have a bit more control over it. Okay, let's see how we want to do this side. So, okay, let's keep these angles going. And if anyone has any suggestions, or if you have any ideas of how you're doing your mountains, if they're turning out and you're really digging it, feel free to share what you're doing. I know one thing is like kind of what I'm doing here is like you can kind of leave it and use the canvas itself as your texture. So when you're pulling down onto the canvas, you can kind of create almost like it kind of has a rocky vibe that way. I've done that before, and I will likely do that again. I'm not really digging that with this particular day, with this vibe. I kind of want it to be more opaque and a bit stronger for me, but just because I want that doesn't mean it doesn't work with your vibe, so that might work really cool too. Okay, so let's put in some more angles here. Trying to be very cognizant of making it more angular versus rounded. Okay, cool. I'm gonna get a little bit more black in here, make it a little darker. Let's put some of those darker elements in here. The darker elements, I just mean a little bit of shadow. It'll just make the lines kind of pop. Cool. All right, I'm gonna get some black and do the same kind of thing I did here. So just like in the black areas, I'm just going to bring it, repaint those areas a bit, and then just like bring them into that kind of darker gray that I added, and then just blend it a bit, and that should add a little bit more depth to it a bit. That's what I did on that side, so I'm just going to try to mimic it. Like I said, mine has a bit more of like more like straight lines. I'm not making it look too realistic. I'm changing it up a little bit. I'm going to clean up some of these lines here with the black, and then it kind of looks like it disappears. I do that. Well, it does disappear, I guess. Not kind of. Not bad. I want to go lighter again. I want to touch up some of those lighter areas. I feel like I went a little too dark. Going over some of that because you can kind of see the black. I don't really like that too much. I'm kind of liking that strokiness. I like that. So I just noticed that on my brush, if I just kind of like stroke it down, it kind of, bristles are giving it a nice texture, so I'm just adding some of that into my mountain. So I don't know if you can see that, but the bristles on this brush kind of already give it kind of a texture with it, and I feel like that's working nicely. So I'm just going over and putting some of that in. Going in a few different directions just to change it up a little bit. Yeah, that's working nice. I like that. Okay, let's get a little bit of white. Don't want to use my thinner brush? Yeah, I do. Remember when I said I should have changed my water? Yeah, my water is pretty black. I might need to go up and grab some more. But I'm so into it, I don't really want to leave this yet. So I want to play a little bit more with the white. Put a little bit of highlight. It's funny because I wasn't digging the texture on that side so much, but I'm kind of digging it now more on this one. So I might touch up the other side and add a little bit of the texture from the canvas, like just by touching that like that. Yeah, I think I put too much paint on. I might have missed my chance because now it's more. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, it depends. I am digging that now more. When I did it at first time, I really didn't like it because I found it a bit too uniform, but that's working nicely. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So I just brushed with the white paint, a thin brush. I just kind of like rubbed it across and I left the texture of it, and I think that did actually add a little bit more feeling to it, and I'm digging that, so I added it on this side as well. So that's how my mountains look. I would describe them as a little bit more cartoony than the original. Oh, my knee just hit that. That didn't move, did it? Okay, perfect. Good. Good. Awesome. Okay, fantastic. All right, so we have our mountains in place, and now we need to get our trees in place. So let me see. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to go and I'm going to switch up my water because now my nice clean water is this color, and that is not the watercolor I would want right now. I'm going to go change that. That will give you guys an additional like 2 minutes or so to catch up and to do a couple little things before I move on to the trees. So I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to leave this here. I have to go inside to do that. So bear with me. Sorry, I need to go change my painting with my water. All right. There we go. All right, I'm back. Water is clear. Okay, so if you guys need to get water, that was a good time too. Let's move on and let's get some trees in here. Awesome. So trees are fun. I love doing trees. I'm gonna see which paintbrush do I want to use for my trees. Let me think about this. I think I'm going to start with my thin brush just to decide where the trees are going to live, and then I'm going to use one of my medium brushes so I can get some of those branches in there. I don't think the thin one's going to do me right. So the way I'm going to do this is I need some black paint, thin. You might need to use a little bit of the water to make it a little thinner. Okay. And now we're going to, where do you want your trees to live? They can live anywhere that you want them to, really. This one's gonna live here. That's where that one's gonna live. And I'm just gonna build wherever the middle of the trunk is, just so I can play with that. You know what, I might actually use my thin brush to actually do the branches, now that I think about it. Trees are a little smaller than I thought they were gonna be. I think they work out really nicely like that. Okay, this one's gonna jut in and come down like that, kind of curvy. This one's gonna be here, and this one's gonna come out in there. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna start with this brush, and I might switch to my medium brush. I don't know, we'll see how this one works. So the way we do trees is, you know what, so I'm gonna start with black, and then I'm gonna put some other color on top of it. I'm gonna get my brush, and at the top, I'm just going to dab it, and then we're going to kind of go to either side, back and forth with the brush. This brush is not doing what I want it to do. I'm gonna just switch to my medium one, this one. When it's more flat, so when it's a fine point like this, it's gonna stay really fine and more blotchy. If you can have a brush that, let me get this one going so I can kind of show you. So this brush, you can see that it's more flat. So see if on the side it's very thin, but like that, it's a very flat brush. That's gonna give us a bit more flexibility in getting these branches looking more realistic. Okay, so I have my brush, so I'm just gonna go back and just add a little bit more to that because I don't really like that all that much and I want it to come out more. Okay, and at the bottom, the branches are usually bigger and they're more robust, so that's where you want to put them. The top, they stay pretty small. Okay, the same thing here, so we're going to start small here, and we're going to go back and forth. Okay, and I'm just using black. There you go, there's some birds chirping, that's nicer. Nicer than the hammering or the lawn mowing. So I just come back and forth. This one sticks out a little bit in the middle here. Little belly of this tree sticking out nicely. So when you have kind of more of a flatter, I don't know, I find that it gives more of like these kind of like branches and you get to see some of the, it almost feels more like tree comes out of it. Okay, so we'll start small at the top.
It'll be easier for you to walk around.
So I just dab basically on both sides. You just need to make sure there's enough paint on the brush. My brush tends to dissipate quickly. Yeah, I like that one. That one has a better tilt, I think, than that one does actually. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing here too. Some more water on there, make it flow a little bit better. And this one I'm going to do in black, but then just to figure out where I want this tree to live. But this one's going to pop more when we put some gray on it. And I still want the sky to come through a little bit. I think that looks way more natural that way. Okay, so I'm going to now just dip my brush into the white. It still has black on it, so I want to make it a little bit more, a little grayish. And now it's going to give our tree some highlights. Okay, so on this guy, so I'm going to do the same thing, and just where I just painted, I'm just going to touch it with this gray. Some of the branches come in the middle, some of them come to the side, and I'm just going to touch this guy too. Same thing for this one. So pretty much where I put the black, I'm just going to bring my brush across it. Try not to be super uniform, try to make it a little bit erratic, sporadic, both. So it already has a bit more highlight. It already is going to pop a little bit nicer just by doing it like that. Okay. Okay. Awesome. We're doing really good. It's almost 3:30, so it's not too bad. Our timing is doing pretty good. All right. So I think I'm going to get a little bit of white and just put a little bit of white onto these trees too. Kind of where I put the gray. Just gonna touch it a little bit. Just add a little bit more. Just a little bit. Yeah, I like that. Okay, cool. And I'm actually gonna now just gonna go back and get some black on my brush, and I'm just gonna touch it up again. And when I do this, I just want to add a little bit of black on top of some of those lines that I made, because to me it will then, right, like a lot of the gray that I put in kind of went like right on top of the black, which makes sense because that's what we did. We put it right on top. But now that I put like a little bit of black on top of the gray, it looks like there's more depth and more texture to the trees. Now there's like different layers of it. Now there's a bit of gray pop in, and there's a little bit of shadow in front, and it kind of plays back and forth with it. Another idea that you can do as well, you can always add a little bit of green, make like a really, one second. Everyone's driving. So many cars. What you can do is you can add, you can make like a really dark green. And if you have this, even that's that hint of a little bit of green, you can like add that a little bit in, and that would look really cool too. I'm like debating. I kind of do want to play with a bit of green. So I'm gonna add a dot, and I'm gonna do a little bit of that. So I can kind of show you what I mean, and if you like it, then you can do it too. I'm gonna do kind of the same thing that I've done that, but I'm just gonna put a bit of green. So I'm just gonna do the same back and forth. I need more paint on my brush. When I'm going and doing this like back and forth with the green, I'm just trying to, I'm staying kind of close to where the gray is. Yeah, I do like, I think, yeah, I like that. Even though it's far away, it's in shadow, like it doesn't fully make sense. I mean, if it just stays in black, it probably makes more sense, to be honest, but this is my painting, so I want to put some green in it, and I'm going to. There we go. Everyone is on their ATVs and cars today. Holy baloney pants. Okay. Now exactly what I did with, oh, I like that actually. I don't know if I need to go through black again. I kind of am going to though. Yeah, I am. Okay, I'm just going to get black back on my brush, and I'm just going to go over just slightly on top of the green I just did. Just to, yeah, I like that a lot. There's hardly any paint on the brush right now. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think that added like just that extra element of depth that I wanted to get. So let me just show you that a little bit closer. So I don't know if you can see that well. So it has some green, it has some gray, it has some white, and I think they really pop and they look really great. So that is the trees. I think I'm pretty happy with that. I don't think I want to touch them anymore. I like the way my trees are flowing. All right, now let's take a look at our inspiration image. So we have some marshiness going on here. We have some nice little green grasses of some sort sprouting and some little white dots all along here. So we're going to add that in, and we have some white stars in the sky as well. So those are the few other things we're going to be putting in. Before I put in some of that foliage, if you'll notice in the water, there is some nice white highlights to kind of show some of the ripples in the water. So I'm going to do that part now. So with my thin brush, okay, I'm going to get white paint. Okay. And the ripples are going to go where, you can go anywhere you want, really. But particular attention to where we have like something in the water. So here we have a rock. So we're going to add a little bit of white paint just in the water. Almost like trace your rock. And kind of give it a little trace like that. With your white paint, similar to your black paint when you're painting fine, you might need to put some water to make it more inky so it cooperates a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to put some lines from where you traced and bring it out. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to keep doing this with my rocks. Okay, so with this one I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, and then we have some of the same thing happening on these. Okay. And there might just be like maybe, oh, that was too thick. Did not like how thick that was. Try to just have a few little lines in the water. Okay, look like some ripples. There's movement happening. Okay, then we're gonna have it along this edge here. And it's going to jet out a little bit. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing up here. It's going to come out a little bit more, I think.
And Magikarp are literally the weakest Pokemon in the world.
You can hear my son. He is talking about Pokemon.
They're really weak.
My apologies, but now you're going to learn about different Pokemon in the background.
Yeah. What is this Pokemon? I want to do with Ember. I know you're the Starly.
I don't know about that one so much, but I'm gonna stick with it. We're just gonna keep playing with this little white flecks across the water. You know, I probably should have started at the top, because now where am I gonna put my hand? Right on top of the wet paint. That's what's gonna happen. Okay, so here it kind of comes out and then it goes back. And it does a lap out again. Again. Just gonna.
Now please, Brittany, please be able to do it. Great. Starting.
So I'm just going to add a little bit more along this side here, a little bit along here. Where else do we want it? I think that's pretty good. Maybe a few thin ones in the water. Yeah, I think that's good. So they're not super uniform again. All right, good. So we have a little bit of some highlights going on in the water with your white paint. And where I placed them, I literally followed the inspiration image of where I want it. So essentially anywhere, if it jutted out, then I did it all on the same side. So everything came, so this juts out, nothing on this side. On this side, there's some lines in the water. Here, there's nothing. On this jut out, I put some lines. And then since this all comes out, so this is like the top, like this part here, there's no lines on there, right? Similar on this side too. So we have the lines on this side. This is the top part, so there's no lines in the water, but this is the bottom, so they put some. That's the top. There's no white lines coming out of the rock on this side. This is the bottom here, so there's white lines coming into the water there. So that's where the rocks connect with the water, is where you're going to have these little ripples happening. But at the top, you're not going to have it because that's like the top of the land. There's not going to be a ripple if it's like something on the top of the land. Doesn't make any sense, right? So that's where I've put the ripple. So basically, top, nothing, bottom touching the water, ripples. Top, nothing, bottom touching the water, ripples. And so forth. So that's how it kind of works. I guess I could have extended this a bit further. You know what? I'm going to extend that a little bit further in on this here. Ah, I had a feeling I was going to make it a little thick. There you go. Maybe a little weird line there. I'm just going to bring it out. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. Okay, so that's where you want to place them, especially if you ended up doing something different and like changing up the path of the water. Just wherever the land connects with the water, that's where you're going to put those little white lines in the water to make it ripple. Okay? Cool. So let's see where we want to put some of these little flimsy grasses, marshy grasses. In this, I just moved that, my bad, there you go. They used gray again, so I think we'll use like a light, like a dark gray, a light gray. Maybe we'll start off, I think I'm going to start off with black, and then we're going to then, because some of them come into the water and I want to keep that vibe going, and then I'll add some lighter colors on top to make them come out more. So I'm going to put some black back on my palette. Okay, so I'm just going to get some of that going. So again, I want my black to be nice and like ink with my thinnest brush, the one I have the most control. And let's just put in some little lines, like however you want, however many you want. Okay, and I am going to put some even if it's like fully on top of the black, just to kind of have my, if I have my vibe going, I'll just keep that happening. So I want it to be pretty plentiful. Okay, so that's one little patch there. Okay, we're gonna have another one like here. All right. Okay. And then we're gonna have another one like here. Okay, so just put in where black wherever you want it to live, and then we're gonna put some light colors on top to make it pop. Pop. I said pop weird. Make my mouth feel weird. Okay. All right, let's put a little bit more. Maybe we'll put some here. Okay. Put some up here. Okay. And then some over here. Doesn't really matter like which way. I would say try and have some kind of curving in, some curving the other way. Some might be straight up. I think that looks good. Okay. Those are the areas where we have our grassiness. You want to add it, grassiness, something like grassiest. Yeah, you know what, over here too. Holy baloney. Chop chop, buddy. Get out of here. Because that's not very neighborly. Okay. I want another one like in this area. Coolio. Yeah. All right. So we have some grassiness going on. Okay. So now we are going to add a lighter color on top so that it pops. So we want to have, I want to still stick it with the gray, like a light gray. So I'm just going to put some white with a little bit of black. Black will take over your white, so just be cautious. Okay. I do want this first one to be maybe a darker gray, and then maybe we'll go over with like a light gray to add just 3 layers of depth to these little marshy area. Okay, so I have kind of like a dark gray happening over here, and then we're gonna bring it, and string it up. I still want the paint to be like ink, not super wet, but easy to spread and easier to control as well. Okay. So this is gonna pop nicely on the areas like on top of the black. Okay, so let's keep moving along. I'm putting in some are a little bit shorter than others. What I'm trying to make sure I'm doing is that my strokes stay pretty solid. I don't want the paint to not be on my brush. So I want it to be nice and solid as I'm making these strokes upwards. I think they look more natural that way. So I'll try to cross some of them so they look like there's lots happening over here. Some are smaller than others. Cool. Okay. And then I want to put, I think I'm going to get white, maybe, because everything's still kind of wet. So if I put white on top, it's going to pop. But then it's also going to mix a little bit with the gray, so it's not going to be like super in your face. So I'm just going to, and I'm going to, with the white, I'm going to put it almost on top of some of the grays that I've already done. So, like, they're not going to be kind of like their own. I'm just going to try to highlight. But again, I need this to be a little bit more inky and less like paint. And again, being outdoors, it makes my paint dry so fast. But it is very nice to be outdoors, even with the bug flying into my face earlier today. And with the lawnmower and the hammering, it's still quite nice. Put some white. If you're finding like some of the white I feel like is a little bit too much, so I might just go back in and just dull it out a little bit with some more of that gray or some black. I just pop in a little bit too poppin'. I don't know if I like it. I don't dislike it, but I think I just want to tone it down slightly, so I'm just doing that. So that's what you can do again with acrylic. So if you put something on top and you're like, ah, that didn't work, you can go back in and then touch it up. Same with the black. So let's say you want to just touch up the base of it, you can always go in and you can always add, you know, make it even like put a little bit of black to cover up like where these bushes are growing from. Because maybe when you put the lines in, they looked kind of weird. Like mine looked a little bit strange. So I'm just going to put a little bit of black just to kind of be like, oh, where are these growing from? You can't really see. It's like in the dirt somewhere. I think that's looking a little bit nicer. Okay, there we go. Not being super formal about it, just giving it a little bit of texture there. Okay, cool. Oh man, this one, I don't like how white that one is. Yeah, that's better. They look very hairy. They look more hairy than they do grassy. I made mine a little bit too uniform, I think. A little bit. Just going in with black and just making a bit more contrasting space in some of these spots. I feel like I said I made mine a little bit too hairy. I leave it. All right. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. We are almost done. It is 3:50, so we have 10 minutes to 4. So let's see if we can get the last couple of touches in here in the next 10 minutes. All right. So what we need to do, still remaining to be similar to our inspiration painting, we need to put some of these little white dots along the river and close to where our grassiness, another bug came, and then we also need to put in our stars in our sky. Okay, so basically lots of little white dots that are going to be happening. So I'm going to get my thin brush again and my white paint. Okay. And let's start. So the stars are pretty much, they go kind of in a circle. They don't end up too much on the sides, and they kind of follow your pattern that you have. So again, you can change that up if you want to, but if you want to stick to the picture, that's kind of what we're looking at. So we're just gonna put little dots. Okay, so I'm gonna try to put them in a couple smaller and some larger. Okay. Okay. There is one star that looks very bright and has a bit of a, it looks like a little point to it, which looks really cool. Let's see if we want to do that. Let's put that in on this side here. Let's use this one. This little cross. There we go. I don't know how much I love that, to be honest. But again, it's the sky. Their background is black, so if you do something in the sky that you're not a fan of, you can totally take a risk on it, and then you can always paint over it in black if you decide you don't like it. That's the beautiful thing about it. Alright, so now let's put in some dots, and again, they're kind of varying in size, but they're sticking close to where you have your bushies going on, and close to the line of the, some of these ones kind of come out randomly. That's kind of cool. Leave some more in this area. Here. Okay. Adds a little element. Looks kind of cute. All right. All right. And when you feel like you are pretty happy with what you got going on, do not forget to put your initials on your painting. And I think I'm just going to go right here. There we go. Ta-da! Alright, so there, I think I'm complete for now. I might want to touch and play a little bit more. I might want to put a bit more stars, and I don't know if I'm going to keep that one there, to be honest. Like I said, didn't turn out exactly how I liked it. I feel like it looks kind of weird. But I'm pretty happy with every element that we've put in. So let me just show you closer. So you just have some dots in there. We have our little like mossy greens along the water. We have our trees. We have our stars. See, like, I'm not really a big fan of that guy. We'll see. I might paint it with black and then go over. But the color is so pretty. And I am noticing there's like a little dot of black there, so I might want to touch that up as well. You know what? I'm just gonna. Do you even have enough blue? Is that even dry? What's going on? Do I have blue? Let's see. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm gonna just get that done. No, I'm not, because my blue is fully dry, isn't it? Okay, there we go. Touch that up a little bit. Fantastico. All right. Well, there we go. So there is my version of our inspiration picture. So that is our inspiration picture. Ooh. And that is my version of it. Ta-da! Not too shabby. And I will snap a picture of this and put it online so you guys can use it as reference if you so desire. Like I said, this video will be available afterwards, so if you know anyone who might want to join in and do this later, please share it with them as well. And let me dismantle this. All right, so that is about it for today. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I really enjoyed doing this painting. I think it turned out really nicely. And I hope yours did too. I hope you're happy with yours. And again, remember, it shouldn't be the exact same. It should be your own style of it. And if you added some more elements to it, I can't wait to see it. So please snap a picture of it and share it in our comments so I can take a look. I love seeing them. And again, on Tuesday, there'll be 3 more options that you guys can choose from. And then we'll paint again next Saturday at 2. And we will keep it rolling from there. All right, have a fantastic rest of your day and a great long weekend. And that's about it. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining. Bye.